Oh, well, listen, the excitement and the activity continues because the start of the Netball World Cup, it is only 8 days away. And of course, excitement as well as tension is building within the teams as they get ready to compete for the trophy. Now, as much as physical preparation is key for major tournaments, mental preparation is just as important and should not be overlooked. Now, with margins between success and failure so small, oftentimes it's a player's mental strength that can make the big difference in big matches. Now, here to chat more about this is sports mind coach and high performance team developer Bennie Louw. Good morning, Bennie.
Good morning. Good morning.
I love this because, you know, so often in the past it was always just focus on the physical, the fitness levels, but often people forget about the mental strength and mentality that goes behind your success or failure. Now, as a sports, in the role that you are, do you only look after teams like netball players or rugby players, or who can benefit from you?
Well, I work with, as I said to you before, it's anybody that does sport. That's even somebody that plays chess or ballet dancer or cricketer, tennis player. There's hardly a sport I haven't dealt with because there's one common denominator. Everybody has a mind.
And they need to apply that mind.
Absolutely. And the interesting thing is, when you train in the week, it's 80% physical because you get to train your mind. But when you get onto the field in competition, it turns around. It's 80% mind and 20% physical. And how often do we get into sport, teams, individuals, you train well, you do well, and it gets to that big day, and all of a sudden, it's like your body just doesn't want to work.
So what are some of those methods that can help players cope mentally leading up to a big match? Because you also don't want to do all this preparation, get to the big day, and then choke.
Yes. Oh, yeah, we don't want to use that word.
Sorry.
In South African sport, that is a big no-no. But yes, it unfortunately is. And what happens is your mind plays such an important role. And what you think, because we all think. And those thoughts are very powerful. And it affects our physiology, our bodies. And I often, with the courses and the workshops that I do, I show people how your thoughts can, change something subtle how it affects the power in your body. So your thoughts are incredibly powerful. And what I do is I help people to kind of work with their minds to get in a better state of mind. And we all have a self-talk. So I always say to people, do you talk to yourself? And they're like, no. I said, well, we all do. It's that internal voice. And that voice is constantly there and is telling you, yes, you can do it, or no, you can't. And when you get into the sports field, you kind of need to have a really powerful voice inside of you. And sometimes people say to me, you need to get your head in the game. And where I'm sitting is I'm saying, oh, that's the last thing I want you to do. Because when you're thinking too much, then you overthink it, and your body's natural ability to perform is kind of impeded. And what you want to do is you want to get into that flow, where things just flow, where you're not thinking. And often the guys would say to me, when they're doing really well, there's no thought. But when it's not going well, it's like all over the show.
And probably a lot of overthinking.
Oh, yeah.
I love that you touched on the self-talk, because yes, we're putting the spotlight on athletes, but I think everyone needs to be mindful of the self-talk that they give themselves.
Yes.
How important is it, for that self-talk and also the mental strength that comes with putting an emphasis on your own mental health, help you in a stressful environment? I'm talking about athletes, our netball players about to do a World Cup, even any of the other sports or people in their normal everyday profession.
The big thing is you need to understand that how we perceive the world outside, our bodies, our brains looks at it in two ways. It's either danger or safety. So whatever we perceive goes into one of those two categories. And the moment that happens, we activate a part of our bodies that kind of either shuts us down, fight, flight, or freeze. Now, when you're in a sporting environment, you're constantly in kind of competition. You're constantly in that space where there's a fight, flight, or freeze. And you see this with sports people. And that choking you're talking about is so hectic that a person that is a world champion, I mean, you think about Jana Vortner playing Steffi Graf in Wimbledon final, and she chokes. She's basically winning the match, and the next moment, she just goes, and she becomes a total novice. Now, everybody watching this match is seeing this happening, and they can feel it for her. I mean, luckily, well, it has a good ending, the story. 4 years later, she ended up winning. Wimbledon. Yeah. But that's the kind of thing that a top performer can step into the arena and all of a sudden
hit that blank.
Hit that kind. But it's not just a thought. Your body goes into that state. So you feel it. I mean, even when you're public speaking, think about it, how often people have to do that.
You see that red light on the camera and you hit a blank. It happens. It happens. Yes. It happens. Yeah. Well, Bennie, thank you for the incredible work that you do, and thank you for joining us this morning. Bennie is a sports mind coach as well as a high-performance team developer, and of course, we're just all getting so geared up and excited for the Netball World Cup kicking off in only 8 days' time. So stay tuned to your Feel Good Breakfast show. We will be unpacking more of that throughout the next coming days.